Hey everyone, welcome back to the Road to 2000 series. This is episode 14. So, a couple of days ago, I played another rapid game, and if I won this one, I would have hit 1900. So, yeah, it was a bit of a milestone kind of game. You can probably tell by the tone of my voice that I didn't win, but it was a good game and a good one to analyze, I think, because I feel like, for the first time in a while, I kind of got outplayed in this one. Let's see how this one went. Um, I had the black pieces, and my opponent played e4, and I play the Caro-Kann, c6, d4, d5. Here my opponent played the advance, which is e5, and against this, I think the two most common moves are bishop f5 and c5. I play c5 just because that's what I always play, and I kind of know how to play this sort of structure. In this position, my opponent took the pawn on c5, and I played knight c6. And yeah, I mean when they take the pawn, or even if they don't take it and reinforce with c3, the game plan of the Caro-Kann remains the same. I think we kind of argue that white has overextended with this e5 push, and we long term try and target this pawn and either the pawn on d4 or if they take the pawn on c5. But yeah, taking's not a bad move whatsoever. It's one of the main moves. And here my opponent played f4, and I do think this is kind of what I find the trickiest, or one of the trickiest Caro-Kann lines. It's when they kind of play. They kind of aggressively try to hold on to both of these pawns. Um, I think the best move in this position is just e6 to try and attack this pawn, and then they might play something like bishop e3, and they try and hold on to everything. And they kind of make you work a little bit to win back the pawns. Um, okay, I didn't play that. I played. Anytime I see f4 in the Caro-Kann, I immediately think of knight h6. Um, because where this knight often wants to land up is f5. Normally, we go through e7 into f5, but if they play f4, we can also go to f5 via h6, because playing f4 blocks this bishop from defending h6. So had they not played f4, let's say they play knight f3, then knight h6 doesn't make much sense because they take it and take, and then this structure's not so good. So, when they play f4, I like to play knight h6, even though, I think e6 might be more accurate, but still not a bad move to get into f5. Okay, my opponent plays knight f3, and when they play knight f3, it's a great opportunity to get our bishop out, our difficult light squared bishop. To g4. This is often the bishop that we struggle to get out. And then, okay, my opponent played bishop e2. I play e6. Once I've got the bishop out, this is just a solidifying move, helps develop this bishop. My opponent played bishop e3, and then I played knight f5, which is where it wants to go anyway, and it hits this bishop with tempo. Okay, then the bishop drops back to f2, makes a lot of sense. And this is a key moment, I feel, where there's an idea that I have here that I missed probably 3 moves in a row. And I think had I found this idea, the game would have turned out very differently. And I'm kind of annoyed at myself for missing it because it's pretty um, typical Caro-Kann idea or Caro-Kann move. Um, and the move is Queen A5 check. Um, what I saw, I did see this move, and the reason I didn't like it is because I thought that after Queen A5 check, White can just play C3, and then we can't take this pawn with the bishop. So I thought, because we get forked with B4. And the main reason to play Queen A5 check is to win this pawn, to add another attacker there. But yeah, but that's not actually true, because after Queen A5 check, C3, bishop takes C5, and then B4, seemingly forking these two pieces, we have bishop takes F2 check, and then king has to take, and then we can move the queen. So actually B4 is not a good move at all, because it weakens the C3 pawn, and we get to take this bishop with check. So I don't know if that's like a visualization thing or a calculation thing, but I just discarded this line too quickly, because after C3 bishop takes, I'm like, this is a fork, so I can't do that. And there's no point playing Queen A5 to induce C3 if the idea is not to take this pawn. That just helps White get a sort of dark square structure here. So yeah, I think missing that idea was very important for the game, because it forced me to come up with an alternative idea that was not a good one, basically. Yeah. So since I missed that idea, I thought I'd just play bishop e7 like a natural developing move. My opponent castled, I castled. Okay, they play a3, which I don't believe is like such a great move. Yeah, I mean, even in this position, I think I've still got Queen A5 check. Not check anymore, but Queen A5. Definitely in the last position, in the last move, I still have this idea, because, I'm attacking this pawn twice. Let's say Queen A5, if they play C3, which they don't have to, but I'm just saying as a resource to try and come up with this fork. We can still take, and if they play B4, this is still a check. So, okay, so, but instead of that, I castled, and even in this position, after A3, I think I've still got Queen A5, because if they play B4, I can take this, and if they take back, they lose the rook. So, yeah, basically, I just missed that idea. So, okay, so because I missed that idea, I was thinking about, what do I play in this position? I mean, what's my plan to activate this bishop, to activate my rook? This pawn is just going to be a thorn in my position. B4 is going to come, and yeah, they're just going to like create this really annoying bind here, and I need to come up with some sort of plan. I thought maybe knight A5, which I think comes up later in the game, to try and get in here. But yeah, my typical Caro-Kann plans of, maybe dominating the C file, winning back one of these central pawns, it's kind of in disarray because I missed that idea. I thought of B6 even, like sacrificing a pawn, just to get some sort of play, but I didn't like that, because this pawn on B6 is just going to be so weak with a bishop permanently staring at it. Okay, so because of all of that, I thought that one way for me to create a bit of play was to play f6. Um, and yes, I thought that f6, if white doesn't take, then I can take the knight. Take the knight. Bishop takes, and then take. So I can win a pawn there. So I thought white is definitely going to have to take. Then I can take back with the bishop, and that looks like a really nice diagonal. It's true that white can blunt that diagonal with c3, but I thought at least, at least maybe long term that diagonal is going to be good, and I can put a bit of pressure on this pawn chain. Maybe via something like a5 or maybe b6 does make more sense there. After takes, we can start pushing this pawn. Not sure exactly, but I like the look of that diagonal. I mean, as always, the problem with playing f6 is the e6 pawn. It weakens the e6 pawn massively. Those people who watch Ben Feingold, as I do, he hates the move f6 for black or f3 for white and says never play f3, never play f6. So this is probably a good demonstration, this video, for why he says that. Anyway, black takes the pawn, I take back with the bishop, get a nice looking diagonal, kind of forces white to play c3, I think. And now I start, I think, okay, first I take. I think I take. Perhaps not the best move. You kind of want to take only when they ask you what you're doing with your bishop. But I think this bishop is often one that gets traded off in the Caro-Kann because most of your pawns end up on light squares. I think I wanted to maybe dislodge this bishop from this diagonal here. So c3 is good because it blunts the effect of my bishop, but I think my knight, it does create some weaknesses on the light squares, and this was looking like an interesting square for my knight as a potential idea. So I took the knight and then played knight a. So I took this knight and then played knight a5. My opponent played knight d2, which I probably, should have seen. I mean, this really blunts the effect of my knight being here. Like, I can play knight c4 if I want, and then after takes, the queens are staring at each other. Is that even good? That isolates this pawn, and then you've got this pawn here where, b5 to defend that pawn is not really possible because they can take en passant. So, I was just... This probably wasn't the best idea in the end as well. Okay, now I play queen c7, just trying to activate the queen, hit this pawn. My opponent plays queen e2, and they really just start ganging up on this e6 pawn. I defend the e6 pawn. Okay, they play g3, just defending this pawn here. And yeah, I mean, now this knight is just very silly. This knight's not doing much. This bishop that had a lot of potential is in fact being blunted by this pawn. I'm just in a bit of a tough position. I feel like I'm not really sure what to do. Was there anything else I considered in this position? I mean, I really feel like I can't even play e5 because that hangs this pawn with check. So I really felt a bit stuck here and not sure how to create some dynamic play. Like what is going to be... I just didn't know where all my pieces belong, and yeah, what I was sort of trying to do in this middle game. This pawn is actually quite a big thorn for me. Can't even start like a minority attack here because of this pawn. So Yeah, maybe b6 was still an idea to sacrifice. I don't know. Maybe I'm just in a lot of trouble here. I can turn the analysis on. I haven't had it on, but um, yeah. No, it's already +2 for white. Really, really interesting. Anyway, um, okay, so it's my move. I need to get this knight back into the game. I move it back to c6. My opponent doubles up on this pawn here. I play queen f7. I think as dangerous as it looks, I thought maybe this was my only hope for some dynamic play. So I wanted to defend this pawn here. But yeah, I didn't have much of an idea. My opponent even stops that, like he doesn't even allow this move, which I don't know. It probably wasn't a good move anyway. It just looks so dangerous. I play queen g6, and now my opponent goes for this sacrifice, which actually kind of let me back into the game. They sacrifice a whole rook for the e6 pawn. And of course, it's not really a whole rook because after rook takes, bishop d5 skewers the rook. So they're at least going to win back in exchange. But I think they should have been a little bit more patient, maybe doubled up on the e-file. I really can't do much here. So I don't think they were in such a big rush to take this pawn. I mean, yeah, I was trying to put my queen here to maybe have some ideas of like knight h4, but or bishop h4, or even just h5, h4. Maybe that was my attack that was going to start coming, but I don't think it's super scary. I mean, knight h4 hits the bishop, but they can just maybe go back to h1 there. I don't see anything there. Anyway, my opponent took, and it's probably a sign of how good their position is that they still have an advantage here, even with making quite a big blunder of sacrificing a rook for a pawn a little bit prematurely. But they take with the bishop, and now I'm basically just in massive defending mode. Like if I don't do anything, the threat is to take the rook with check, like a full rook. So I really want to defend this rook, even though they're going to start piling up on it, because I want to at least only give up an exchange here. And if I can perhaps sort of stabilize and give up an exchange and trade some pieces, then I will have a material advantage as the game progresses. So I thought that this sacrifice gave me a bit of hope, where before there wasn't much, really. Anyway, I defend the rook. I'm happy to give up this. Well, there's not much I can do, but I'm okay with giving up this exchange. Okay, all hands on deck, piling up on this pinned piece. I defend it with knight d8. Very passive, but I actually think that, yeah, it's the only move that holds here. My opponent takes. I take back with the knight. Computer didn't love that move. It wanted me to take back with the rook. I can't remember why. Rook takes, queen d5. Queen f7. Yeah, there's some line that holds there. But anyway, I took back with the knight. This rook is defended by the queen, so I thought that was a reasonable decision. My opponent played queen d5, so now piling up pressure on this pin piece. Yeah, but I did see that now I have this move bishop d8, which protects the knight with the queen. So, yeah, I'm just, okay, another knight's coming in to put pressure here, or to g5, just mass pressure on the pin piece. But now I get out of the pin with king g8, and yeah, I mean, I think I've just got enough defenders here. Like rook takes, I can take with the queen, and that's all fine for me. Um, okay, but my opponent played knight e5, attacking my queen. I'm still under quite a bit of pressure here, like just defending basically. What's the material count here? We've got a rook and a bishop captured. Um, but my opponent's got 4 pawns and I've got a pawn and a knight. So technically material's even, but if I can somehow stabilize, I feel like, you know, I don't know. I've got a piece for 3 pawns, and maybe that endgame can work in my favor. Not sure, especially if the queens are on the board. Maybe. 95 attacks my queen. I wasn't really sure what to do. Getting a bit low on time. I just moved the queen to f6. Okay, knight g4 attacks my queen. I moved the queen back to g6. I thought maybe we're going to repeat. They moved back to e5. I moved the queen to f6. Then they played g4, okay, attacking this knight. I wasn't really sure where to go with the knight. I can hit the queen. I can come here to attack this pawn, but then they just play h3. Wasn't too sure. I came back to e7 to hit the queen, but yeah, I mean this is a very unusual configuration, and everything's sort of tied down defending everything else. So, it's I had a bit of trouble visualizing what was happening here. Like now, for example, I play knight c7, and just this is such an unusual configuration, so I wasn't seeing it instantly, but everything is defending everything here. Like it's very fragile, but for the moment, it's sort of working. Again, I'm just holding on. I definitely thought I was worse and in a lot of trouble. I was just trying to hold on, basically. So now my opponent played bishop d4, and there's a couple of moves here that kind of get me back in the game. And one of them I think is quite difficult to spot. It's king g8. Apparently after king g8, it's pretty much even. A bit tricky to see why, but I suppose how the game ends, it makes more sense why. And the other move that isn't as good, but it kind of also makes sense to me from a human perspective, is queen e6, which attempts to trade queens. Again, the endgame's probably losing for me, but I definitely felt like queen e6 would have been a tough move to spot, but I think that probably I had more of a chance of spotting than rook g8. Rook g8 looks scary because you're sort of inviting like knight move discoveries, but there turns out not to be any good ones. Instead, I played queen takes on f4, and just grabbing a pawn and trying to generate a bit of attack and a bit of activity for myself here. I just felt like I was defending the whole time. Let me grab a pawn, get my queen close to the king, see if I did see that there weren't any checks, which was a bit unfortunate, but I thought that with my queen close to the king, maybe this pawn is takeable. Turns out not to be takeable, and I think one sort of concept that I'm interested in, I suppose, is like, is this pawn not takeable because of a concrete reason, or is it kind of, thematically not takeable, like in the sense that even if there wasn't a concrete sequence, it's just far too dangerous in the abstract sense. So not sure what it is in this case. Certainly there's a concrete line that's no good for me. Um, okay, but my opponent played rook f1, and yeah, I mean this doesn't look good at all. I'm inviting like another piece to be very active. I need to be careful about where I move my queen. If I move my queen to g6, there's this fork which wins the queen. So yeah, I end up moving my queen just one square over to e4, and yeah, this is a good pause the video moment. I think if you're interested in that sort of thing. What's a combination here for white that's very strong? Well, what's a strong combination for white? Maybe I'll just leave it at that. Um, yeah, so maybe take a couple of seconds if you want and try and pause the video and find the combination for white. Okay, so the combination is pretty nice. It's a checkmate in three, which I didn't see when I moved my queen here and when I took the pawn. But basically, white can play queen takes on e8 check, sacrificing the queen. And after knight takes the queen, there's rook f8 check. The knight has to block on g8. It's the only move. And then knight f7 checkmate with a nice smothered checkmate in the corner. Yeah, so my opponent found that. I was pretty impressed. But yeah, really cool checkmate as well. And yeah, just a bit of a tough game. I feel like, this is the first guy I've played over 1900. Maybe I didn't have my best game, but yeah, just feel like I got outplayed a little bit. So I do definitely think missing that queen a5 move led me to play f6, which was the wrong idea in the position. It just weakened e6 too much that my opponent piled up on. Yeah, so it's a tough one. It's like you miss an idea, which causes you to go for another idea, which turns out not to be good. But yeah, anyway, that was the video. I lost that game, so I'm sitting at 1879. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I'll post another video next week. Thanks for all the likes and the comments. I've been reading them and they're really nice. So thanks everyone for watching. And yeah, I'll see everyone in the next video. Thanks.